Hey, Kobe fam, here we are with episode 7 of the Week of Leaks. There's been some serious revelations and some new secrets that will come to light today. Stick around because this one's gonna be epic.
You indicated some knowledge about what's coming next.
I can say something about it. I can.
I will invite. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I can say something about it. And it's
At this point in Josh's show, Josh is just like, say whatever you want because you've surprised the hell out of me on everything you've said so far. You see it in his face, just like, I'm enjoying this one.
it's just maybe just like a little bit of hint, and this highly relates to it. What do you guys think about the idea of, getting fresh water from salt water and using the process of desalination? Isn't that cool? There you go. That's your hint for what's coming next. And I guarantee you, whatever you think it is not that. So, yeah. But it is, what I said is absolutely a thing. Yeah, we have team members. We have like Catherine, you guys saw in a previous Kopi Cafe. Mm-hmm. She's learning a little bit about that process. Mm-hmm.
So that one, they talked about that there. So
they completely lost me on that. I have no clue what they're talking about.
Bro,
I'm glad that is funny to them.
They know what's coming on because they're a part of the team and all the rest of that kind of deal, and involved with it and whatnot. And then, it's something about desalinization, freshwater, whatnot. That's part of crafting kind of deal, but it's not what you think it is. So
there you go. That's all I can say.
Do you think that the community is going to see this next step coming? Do you think that they will expect it?
I think it will make sense. Like, I don't think it's going to be something that they don't think is going to fit in the game. I think it is something that it's going to uplift Cornucopias very, very quickly, and it's going to get a lot of eyes on Cornucopias. But I can't say exactly because there's a lot of research and testing going on. I don't know when they're going to know when it's going to happen.
Yep,
but
that's fair.
I'd prefer it be sooner the better, but we'll see.
Of course.
I don't think the desalinization thing had to do with where the game is going or other things like that. I think he was really talking about like where the additions to the team and the marketing and the progress that they're able to make as a team and everything that they've lined up and how quickly they can do things now. On that one, but who knows? There could be some even crazier things. They've pulled a lot out since Rare Evo for sure.
Probably not the way it is now. I mean, I was interested in the tech, but Catalyst really brought community with me and put that seed in my head that maybe there is a future in Web3. I didn't dream at the time that I would be working in Web3 full time. It was just a labor of love just to be part of a new movement, which was blockchain, not even web. And I've always enjoyed games like Club Penguin or Shenmue, where you're playing a main game, but then your side quest is something completely different. Again, that fits in with kind of like you're going on a roller coaster, then you're going on somewhere else. And so I always wanted to take people out of the main experience, do something else, come back. If you look at Among Us at the moment, I don't know if you played that game, but part of that, you go in and do all these really basic puzzles with inside it. So it's just, I just think that's how people kind of think. And nowadays with this modern generation, the TikToks, I mean, they can only concentrate for 5 seconds. So actually the idea of having one game and then being distracted by another game and then coming out and doing something completely different, actually, I think fits in well with the way everything's going at the moment.
Rob, you and
So on that one, I don't know if you've ever played Shenmue, Jupiter or BioMX, but I've played Shenmue. It's one of my favorite games when I was growing up myself. So first, have you ever played Shenmue so you know anything about what I'm talking about?
No, never heard of it.
No.
All right, so it's a game that came out on the Dreamcast. And
I never had one. Okay, it's the game with the dolphin.
It's an Asian game, and you're like a martial artist, and your father is a like head of a martial arts deal, and one of the other gang martial arts came and killed him or whatever, and you're in search of who your father's killer was. It's like a 5 or 6 disc game and whatnot back then. It was one of the first, in my opinion, I think it was one of the first open world video games that it wasn't like a linear way you could go and talk to anybody. They would, they would talk back. Now it was very, small things. You say something, they would say the same thing, but at least you could come up and try to have a conversation with somebody. But like it was the progression also of going through, and as you would do things, it would change what the people would say, and then you would have an arcade, and you could go to the arcade and spend your money in the arcade to play video games just for fun or whatever. And if you needed more money, you needed to go to work, and you used a forklift at work. So then when you went to work, you had to drive around a forklift to make money and other things like that. And that was like the first iteration of me playing an open world type of game, and that was by yourself. There was your only self, and for that to be some of his inspiration for this game only explains to me why there is so many of those mini game style type things.
That's very interesting. I have to look into that. I was thinking of Echo when I said the dolphin game.
Okay. Yeah, I actually still have a Dreamcast, and I actually still have that one. They have it on Xbox where I bought it, where you have it on Xbox, and it has Shimmy 1 and 2, so I could play Shimmy 2. I just never sat down to actually play it, because when I went back to play it, from years ago when it came out to now, the gameplay is like really horrendous. So it was really hard to play. So I was like, I don't really want to do this. But the story
At
was
the time,
great.
it was groundbreaking.
Yeah, for sure. I think I was like 12 or 13 or something like that. It was the greatest thing since sliced bread.
You're talking about all these different games, and I mean, I agree, and I hear what you're saying. I think there's like a counter argument to that, is that when you have like all these games and a lot of different games, that it can be like sometimes we can be overwhelmed by choice. So like when you're talking about like games within games, and Penguin Island was definitely like that. I remember doing some research on it where it was a ton of different games. How do you make sure people are kind of, even though there's so many options, but they're being also driven in the same direction? They're not like just going all over the place.
And that balance is important, because those early games that I'm talking about, those didn't necessarily have any cohesion with each other. They were just, you're going off doing this, and then you may be going in an arcade, and you something completely different. When you look at MMOs, you're doing all these different experiences without realizing. If you're playing Red Dead, you're doing the quests, but you're going into a fishing mode. You're with New World. You're doing little tasks. You're doing mining in there. You're doing gathering. All these are different loops, and we call them game loops, but they're also different experiences. And if you put them so all part of one big experience, you shouldn't actually take the player out of the larger experience. This is where the power of the artwork comes together. If everything fits the story, people will accept that, and they won't think they're being pulled into something completely different. But if everything also aims towards the same goals, so if you've got different skill trees, for example, but they're all contributing to your main character's journey or progression, because this is kind of like a hero's journey. That I suppose, that would kind of be my stab at answering that question. It's a complicated answer, but yeah, we don't want to distract people so they're pulled out of the experience. They just want to see it's all part of one.
Well, I was going to actually ask, because when you were saying, would you rather 50 to 100 staffers, or would you like that like juggernaut of 1,000 people?
No, I think smaller. I
Bring up
think
some
the
stuff in a
sweet
second
spot
for sure.
would be somewhere between. I mean, at this stage, I think it would be somewhere between 125 and maybe 200. See, is maybe then different products. So different products then might spin off different departments or even potentially different companies, in which case those might have their own 50 staff. So then we could end up with potentially hundreds or thousands of people, but they would then be split over different, either different companies or even potentially different games. You don't know where it's going to go in the future, but the actual individual entities themselves, I don't think they should be more than say maybe 200 people, because you can have too many.
Now that we have
That one kind of broke into the potential of other companies, other instances. You know, I've kind of talked about before how Cornucopias is so land breaking, and the way that they're building a, you know, AAA type game on the Web3 interconnection, Web2 type of deal, that they could essentially be the company that takes games now that are Web 2 and shows them how to become Web 3 and whatnot. And that could be its own instance, or it could be like we talked about how there's another world, you know, that could be a different game, and they could eventually, you know, create another game style that actually has something to do with the lore of this game as well.
Absolutely. They could spin off in so many ways.
And then he just brings up, you know, the company side of it. You know, it's interesting on how he talks about these things.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see a way for other crypto projects, even Web 2, different games, like you said, that come in and find a way to have some sort of connection and kind of tie into certain pieces of that. You know, in the group that I'm involved with, we really strive to help people that are jumping into being entrepreneurs, or those that have been in business. We try to lead in the personal growth and business development side. So it's interesting to hear the pieces that he's speaking on here.
Right. So it's a lot of people are kind of, you know, scouting around, and they're kind of nervous as to, you know, trying to, hopefully they don't make a bad decision in terms of where they choose their land plot, right? So I think
about
there
this,
was talk,
Jupiter.
I think during Josh's 7 Days of Solace with David, that there might be other points of interest. Is that the case? Like, will we have more points of interest, such as fishing and mining, added later on, and will that happen before the land grab?
Yeah, this goes back to, you know, the game being early. I think we because we had the deadline of Rare Revo, we've definitely released Solace quicker than we wanted to, maybe by a month. So that means that we've not placed everything that we wanted to place. We've not done all the tests. So at the moment, you'll see some land plots that are overlapping with each other. You'll see some places where you look at them, you think, "Whoa, this is a bit OP. I'm definitely going there, but I'm not going there." Well, this is the phase that we're going through now. We're looking at that balance. So there will be more points of interest in there. So if you think you're sat on one spot, or you don't like a particular spot, you know, just imagine that spot as it evolves. But also the whole sectors, they will grow over time anyway. So as people are building their own property, you will also be building your district. So at the moment, you for example, there's huge canyons, and you're thinking, wow, if I want to get there, well, I've got to walk all the way around there. I've got to do all that. Well, there's a few things that could happen there. Imagine that the community wants to put a bridge there. It might be a rope bridge to begin with, but that could turn into a huge bridge over time. Your methods of maneuvering or walking round or running round, that's not going to be the only options in the1,000 meters away, you might be able to get there really, really quick. Or there's other things, but by the end of this year, you'll be able to get around a lot quicker. But you will find out more places of interest over the next, well, definitely in the next build, and we're going to add that to the map. But there are also going to be different parts of playing the game, because the game will have, like I say, will have progression. It'll have skill trees. One of those will be your ability to see things on the map. So if you're say getting advanced in mining, then now you'll probably be able to see more mining locations.
Oh yeah, That's cool.
There'll be
Okay.
hidden on there, or hidden stuff on there as well. And as you become more and more experienced, you'll get to see these things. But all of that, yeah, you don't want everything up
If you
front.
caught what they said right there, not only did he confirm what David said earlier in the week, that we're going to be able to grow things and change things, but he just gave us that the player's progression is going to be able to open up the visually being able to see things easier or more and more of them. So the players that you play with in your guilds and that you play around with, if some of them are more in the mining side, they'll be able to see more mines on the map. Or if they're more transport, they'll be able to see more transport things. Whatever they take on their player progression tree will be able to help them visually be able to see things more on the map. I thought that was very interesting on the using that as like the player progression style.
Super interesting and makes a lot of sense, and also incentivizes people to play the game and level up.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you have your mind's eye gets to see a lot more things and more in depth. I mean, someone who's great at fishing might become a master at hooking a bait.
Finding stuff and everything else like that, being able to see the new fishing holes, or maybe as you progress, you'll be able to like see the fish better in the water or something like that kind of deal. Could be interesting on how that could work there.
Maybe you'll find good spots to catch some worms so you can use them for bait.
Actually, the game loop of finding the food to be able to go fish with. Yeah, okay. I see where you went there. I see where you went there. Maybe a little more in depth than they're talking about, but hey, could be something like that. You gotta go find
you
your
never
bait.
know, right?
Yeah. We're 7 episodes in, and the leaks keep coming. Tune in for episode 8 in 12 hours. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, thumbs up, share it on your socials.